Scott Russell, I was on a flight this morning and sat next to a lady with a baby. And we just had a really good talk. And it's talking about men and women, relationships. And she kind of thanked me afterwards and asked for my number so she could pass it on to her husband. And she was flying to the city I was in to take a break. She's taking a week off, mother of 4 kids, little baby. It's funny, she's handed me her baby, I'm holding her baby, a complete stranger. And just, I really felt for the whole dynamic. And I kind of opened up a little bit about my life because, it's once you're healed of it, it's not something you're ashamed of. But, I was married for 28 years and the message to men in that was, I tried to provide for my family, and often as men we think that we're showing our love by providing, and we are, and we're working hard and we're doing things, and it's but in that it's about our identity. And quite often, really, if we're honest, guys, I don't know if we can be honest until something traumatic happens. It's about us. It's about our identity, and often the women are just there to feed into that and to build our ego, to build our life, and we'd never see it that way. And this woman, I was just talking to her, she was coming for her week rest and a little 4-month-old baby, and I was sharing how as men we get doing that and the women they hide themselves in their kids, rather than engaging with their men, they engage with their children. And I said, and then speaking from midlife and experience, you can fill in the blanks. As we get older, the kids grow up and they go to move out of home or don't need mum the same way. And I think many mothers that have made their identity their kids really struggle with that. Who am I? What am I? And of course the natural go-to is to blame the husband, who probably has a fair bit of the blame. I personally think a man is a spiritual head of a home, and that doesn't mean you dominate or control, but it just means you're there as a shield. And I think, and ultimately, it's your responsibility. And so I think intimacy falls down because, women enjoy the way of life that we provide as men often, traveling the world or the finances or the whatever. And men, I know in my situation I started to become aware that intimacy of heart was not there. We weren't having a connection. And of course men are fix-it people, so we try harder. I've got to fix this. And then in our fixing it, we really alienate the woman. And the woman, I remember going to my now ex and saying, look, we need to stop. I need to change what we're doing, change our way of life. And her reply would always be, oh no, I'm fine. Pardon me, you can do whatever you want. And see, she'd become accustomed to a way of life that I guess whatever she was getting out of that, I don't know. And in my case, she never actually told me, she never asked for help, she never communicated with me, she just left and continues to leave to this day. She's just destroying her own children, really, and one son that hasn't done what she wants, just trying to destroy everything about his life, and of course blaming everybody else, and that's not what my video is about. But what I'm saying is I think as women I'm not a woman, women often get trapped in there. They start off with a good motive, and they start off realizing that intimacy is not there, and as men we are trying to provide, and often it's doing things in us, making us feel like a man. And I was sharing with this lady some of these experiences, probably putting it a little better, and I said, look, at your age, she was probably, I don't know, in her early 30s maybe, I said, at your age, it's a good time to communicate. I said, you don't want to get to midlife and then realise that you've grown so far apart, it's irreconcilable. And at that point, you know, at mid-age, you're faced with, do I hang around and flog a dead horse? Because it's not going to change. And I said to her, we don't generally change until something confronts us. And I said, I complimented her in saying, I think it's really great that you're taking this time away. And actually, I gave her some money. Just said, look, you know, take that and spend it on you. Just, she was pretty awkward. Oh, no. I said, no, just take it. And carried her bags off the plane for her and held her baby while she needed it. And pardon me, it was just her moment. And she just was so appreciative and so thankful for a male that kind of understood that what she was doing. And my word to her was communicate. My ex never said a word. She just left. And over, you know, a 28-year marriage, never said a word. And I said, look, you tell him, sit down and tell him that if this keeps going the way it's going, we're not going to have a marriage. Our children are not going to have a mum and a dad. And we need to make changes. And she sort of said, but it's so hard. I can't, you know, I feel selfish to go away. I feel selfish to think about myself. And I said, no, you need to get free of that, because it's not selfish. You're very much wrapped up in loving your husband and your children. I said, but the issue is that if you don't love yourself, there'll be nothing left to give your husband and your children. And when you get to midlife, as my relationship did, it'll be over. And I said, and really at that point, if it's degenerated to that degree, it is both the man and the woman's fault. It takes two to tango. But largely, I believe, as a man, that it's the man's responsibility to have done some more about that. And I said, otherwise, you're going to get to midlife and be faced with the decision, well, I'm staying with this guy I have no heart connection with, because I've got kids, because I've got a grandkid, because I've got, we've got money together, because it's too difficult to change, I'll just put up with it. Better the evil I know than the evil I don't. I said, but you will, and I've met a lot of people in this situation. I said, you will be in your 70s and 80s hating your partner, living in opposite ends of the house, and I know people that have done that. And I know a man, his golf pro was like that. The golf pro would just weep as he would tell him that, you know, they keep tabs on who saw their grandkids the most and what the money was, and nothing of the heart. And the older you get, you start thinking, well, what's the point? And I just may as well stay here and live with the misery. And you know what, friend, if you're doing that, you deserve what you get. We get lazy of heart. And I think often the women think men are not capable. And I was talking to a friend in Melbourne yesterday, a lady married with 3 or 4 kids. And she said, Scott, if women could get what you're saying, they would have a beautiful relationship. It's everything that they want. But she said, but they're so shut off because they think men are not capable of talking the way you talk and living the way you live. And I was actually pretty complimented. And I had, a few women lately that have sort of said to me, you've really progressed in your understanding of women. And not that I profess to be an expert by any means, but I could sort of see in midlife the despair that many face. And as men, we don't know how to change. We are locked on our path, and it'll take trauma, mostly, to change us. Or a woman, one thing is changing her way of life she's become accustomed to. One thing she could do is go to her husband and say, look, we've drifted apart, quit your work, stop doing what you're doing, I'll go and live in a tent with you, but let's back off and just start to enjoy life together. Let's go down to beaches and he probably won't do it. Oh, we can't, we're trapped. But you tried. And before you walk out on anything, you've got to try. But I tell you, if they're not hearing it, I'm all for marriage, and I think marriage should never be broken, but sometimes there's just no other option. So anyway, this lady, she's putting the effort in. Her husband's obviously must be open, or she's hoping he's open. She's going to throw me under the bus and have him call me. She texted him my number. But ladies, keep going. Men, make the changes. Keep loving.